Coming up next, a treasure. I'm telling you. What you're about to witness is a top 5 song story moment. The thousands of songs we told the story of on this channel, this one has got to be the gold standard. I've never heard an artist describe the creative process better than my guest today. First of all, today's number one hit is likely the greatest contradiction ever sung, and he did it on the spot. He heard some music that his co-writer had created for the first time, and he stood up and he sang the entire first verse and chorus off the top of his head. Totally spontaneous, and it became one of the greatest number one hits of the 80s. He's telling the story next. It's a can't miss on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies. Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you chugged a Strawberry Quick back in the day, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Love Strawberry Quick still to this day. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the white button and click the notification bell so you know when stuff comes out. Also, check us out at professorofrock.com. Sign up there for exclusives, more videos, and more interviews. It's time for another edition of our show, Revelations, where featured artists share rare stories behind their greatest songs and their greatest albums. Truly insight you will not find anywhere else. Today is a treasure. I'm telling you, a treasure of a song story. Seriously, if there was one interview you could see on this channel, this is a candidate for sure. It might be the most inspiring breakdown of the creative process by a songwriter that I've ever heard. You know, when John Waite wrote and recorded the song Missin' You in 1984, he did it in a flash of inspiration. So he was over at a co-writing partner's house and listening through a song that this guy had on tape that they were going to collaborate on. And his friend rewound past the song that they were planning to work on, and John heard a totally different song. But what he heard to his ears was phenomenal. And he said, hold on, let me hear this. He then stood up and sang the first verse and the full chorus of Missin' You straight away. Every time I think of you. Made it all up on the spot. And they ended up recording it, and that moment of spontaneity became a number one smash in 1984. And it was something that John was going through in the moment, a contradiction of emotions. You got to hear this straight from him. And John Waite is a cool guy. Before we do, on this episode of Professor of Rock, we're partnering with Geology. And guys, it doesn't matter how old you are, we got to take care of our skin. And I was terrible at doing that for so long. I struggled with dry skin for a long time. Started noticing, dark circles under my eyes as I got older. I tried some different skincare brands, but nothing changed. Then I got turned on to Geology. It's skincare that can be personalized for your needs by dermatologists. I got it back there. I just follow their easy guidance to structure a product regimen that works best for me. And then Geology sends the product directly to my home, which is huge. It makes setting up a regimen really easy. The specialists at Geology formulate every product to the highest global standards, drawing on proven science and dermatological experience. Now I'm one of thousands of customers that have seen and felt the difference since I started using Geology, for my skincare needs. Check out Geology by clicking on the link in the description below. Here's John. Well, let's talk about one of the greatest songs of all time, one of my favorites from the 80s. I've been waiting so long to ask you about this. It's a song that I feel like everybody else does. It's one of those songs that everybody can relate to because we've all been in this situation so many times, Missin' You. In fact, Brandon Flowers of the Killers said that it was one of his favorite songs of all time.
Oh, really? That's cool. I love the Killers. Isn't that weird? As people that you admire, I think the Killers are great. And I really do. But that's great.
You were looking for one more song for the album, came from an emotional time for you. Tell me about Missin' You.
Well, the album was finished. We were mixing in the record plant in LA, and Gary Myrick, the guitar player, great guitar player, was putting on some overdubs, and I knew we hadn't got a single. I just knew it. We had Tears. Which was great, and we had Restless Heart, which was a country song. But I still love your restless heart. But that was not the way to go. There was something that I knew that I could do that I hadn't. I mean, it'd been hell on wheels making that record. We made it in 3 weeks from scratch. And we just let's go. And EMI said, okay, let's go. And they paid for everything. But I was working on these songs with a guy called Chas Sanford. And I'd had this song we were working on. It wasn't that great, but I was still trying to pull something together. And he had this reel to reel, and I'd been there the night before, and he was looking for this song we were working on, and he hadn't put code on the tape, so he didn't know where it was. He didn't number the tape, and he kept stopping the tape and hitting play to see where it was. And he went past the song and hit play, and there was ding, 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 ding. It was missing you. It was like the instrumental that would become missing you. And I heard about 4 seconds of it and said, "What's that?" And he said, "Oh, it's nothing. It's just something." And then he started, I said, "Well, how does it go?" And he sang me this terrible thing about the secrets that you keep. And I went like, nah, I mean, it sounded like the Romantics. And I said, "Listen, nothing to lose. Just put it on the master. And give me the headphones." And I went in the spare room and he hit record. No, he didn't actually. He hit play. And I went through it once and sang it. I don't know what I did with it because it's not recorded. And I said, "What do you think of that?" And he said, "What?" And I said, "Did you record it?" He said, "No." And I was really pissed. And I said, "Well, record this one, mofo." And he did. And I started off, "Every time I think of you." Every time I think of you. And I took that line from the Babies, "Every time I think of you," to get me into the room. Because I'm really good at making stuff up on them. It's a real talent. I'll allow anybody to give me a compliment and I won't be coy about saying thank you. I really am good at it. I didn't even have the title. I had nothing. And then every time I think of you, I always catch my breath. And I'm still standing here and you're miles away. And I'm wondering why you left. And I'm wondering why you left. And there's a storm that's raging through my frozen heart tonight. I ain't missing you at all since you've been gone away. In one piece.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the hairs on the back of my head stood up. I stopped the tape, it was like, and I stood back about 2 feet and I thought, hell. I knew it was number one. It wasn't even finished. And the line, "I can lie to myself," I didn't know I was going to sing that, so I was in the studio. I just came up with it. I can lie to myself. Those songs, whatever they are, they transcend being clever or crafted or inspired. You have nothing to do with it. You open a faucet and you try and open your heart and let your guard down, shut your eyes and step forward. And it happens. It's like a woman. If you start to count on it, if you don't treat it with respect, it won't be there when you look for it. I don't abuse it. I don't say, "Oh, I'll just do that." I'm saying, if you disrespect it, if you think you're so clever that you can go there, any time of day, any time of week, it won't be there. It's like in the ether. It's the feminine side of everything you are. It's gentle, it's full, it's explosive. It's like this wonderful thing, but you can't access it at will. You have to let your guard down, walk in, and if the stars are aligned, you're going to get something that's so tremendous. You'll get credit for something you shouldn't really get credit for.
I love that. That's a wonderful way of putting it. I've heard that from so many different artists who've said that, that they felt like they weren't even a part of it. It just happened.
Well, Keith Richards says he's just the conduit. It's the Michelangelo Sistine Chapel where Christ is putting his finger out and the guy laying down is putting his finger out and the two fingers touch and it's a sublime thing. I know that's lofty, but there's a world out there in your subconscious, and it's the very meaning of art. It isn't about thinking what the critics are going to say. Where were they when you were struggling?
Yes.
You're not looking for a good review. You don't care. It transcends everything. It's art.
Now, is it true that the foundation of Missing You came from a phone call that you actually had?
No, That's just not. That's just again urban legend.
Urban
I
legend.
didn't know where it was coming. I did not know. I mean, there was two songs in the back of my mind that I looked to for pictures. This is how it's described. But I had two songs that I loved. One was called "Catch a Train" by Free, which is a great big blues song, a fantastic song. Catch a train to my place. Ooh. And Wichita Lineman, Glenn Campbell.
I am a lineman for the county.
I was thinking about deserts and the highway and telegraph poles. I'm a lineman for the county. Wow. And the two songs together, I don't know why they have an influence on it, because there's no lyric or melody that's associated. But that's where my head was at. Like you're somewhere desperately alone in a motel, maybe. And that's all I had. And that's all I had in my head.
But it was something you were going through personally. I mean, your feelings poured out in the song. I mean, at one level, you miss this person dearly.
Well, I was
But
married. I
then
was married at the
yeah,
time.
but then at another point, you don't miss him at all. It's just poignant how you put it. Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, I think denial. I think the great thing about the song is it's about denial. The opening line, every time I think of you, I always catch my breath. God knows where that came from. I always catch my breath, but that's like almost poetry. And I'm still standing here and you're miles away, and I'm wondering why you left. Right there, you have the whole thing.
Miles away, and I'm wondering why you left.
You don't have really, you could say, but I'm doing fine here on the, but I ain't missing you. I mean, it was just immediate male denial. And that's what makes the song a heartbreaker. You're choosing not to admit that you're about to fall apart. And I think everybody's felt like that.
Down this long distance line tonight.
Those contradictions of emotions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
it's poetry how it's put because, like you said, a song can make you laugh or cry. It's relatable because you've been there, and this person on the radio is telling you exactly what you're feeling, and you're like, how do they know? How does he know?
Yeah.
And you knew.
Yeah. No, I mean, but that is art. That we're back to art at its best. Everything else is just pretending to be art and running alongside art. But the real stuff is dangerous. I mean, art should disturb you, even if it's in a good way. It should wreck you. It should make you rethink everything you're thinking.
Yeah.
And once in a while, you do that musically, and I can't even begin to tell you what it's like to have a song like that, and I'll be remembered for it.
What a song to be remembered for. I mean,
Oh, absolutely.
No matter what I might say.
when you showed it to people, I remember reading somewhere that they were just like, people were talking and they stopped what they were doing. They were blown away.
They did in the studio. I took it in, and because I had to convince everybody, and I put the cassette in the player and I played it, and everybody went quiet. The room went quiet.
And there's a heart that's breaking.
I had to go to the record company and get them to give me like $5,000 which is a very small amount of money to cut the track. But they gave me EMI were great. Jim Marza, who was heading the company, was magnificent. And he actually put me on the Concorde to fly to London to shoot the album with David Bailey. Because I said I'd love to do it with David Bailey. And they said, okay, but you got to be there tomorrow. Here's the ticket for the Concorde. It was like, what the is, it was just tremendous. I mean, David Bailey, the biggest fashion photographer in Britain and maybe even the world from the 60s, and I got to work with him as well. Big stuff.
Well, you mentioned Gary Myrick, and I had a chance to talk to him some years ago, and he gave lavish praise on the song. But I always thought as a guitarist, he's a very underrated player.
Oh, me too. He was, that's why we worked together. And it pulled my game up. You know, it was just inventive, artistic, progressive, original guitar playing. Very rare.
Well, Miami Vice spent a lot of money to get it in their episode when it was number one on the charts. I remember reading an article about that in Billboard. It's such a huge hit, number 9 in the UK, but in North America, number 1 in Canada, number 1 here on the Billboard Hot 100, number 1 on the mainstream rock chart. It was top 10 on the R&B charts.
I mean, I met Stevie Wonder and we got on stage and played once in New York City at the China Club. And he knew Missing You. And I'm in awe of Stevie. I'm just going like, what? Jesus Christ, Stevie Wonder. But, you know, it was my black roots, but it had the storytelling of country music. You know, that's the thing. All my singing is R&B. I was born that way. I didn't hear anybody sing and go, oh, I'm going to sing like that. The first time I heard Paul Rodgers, I went like, we've listened to the same stuff. He's my brother from another mother. You know, it was exactly how I sang. And you're born with it. And white people don't have that usually. They sing longer notes and they try and be operatic and it's like a big deal. The blues is slightly more angry and passionate. It's royal blue. And I've been gifted with that phrasing. And I couldn't explain where it comes from.
Well, they have the country side of it, the duet with Alison Krauss.
Yeah.
And for Tina Turner to cover it as well. Brooks and Dunn.
When I got sent the cassette of Tina's version, I was living on Madison Avenue and I took the cassette player and went and sat in the children's zoo in Central Park and listened to it. And, you know, when I was about 10, I remember playing River Deep Mountain High on a little record player and watching it go around and thinking, wow, you know, Tina Turner. Then you flash forward like 25 years or whatever, and Tina's singing your song, and she's singing your phrasing. I mean, you know, I don't have the words for that.
Her version went to number 12 in the UK, was a hit, and the duet with Alison Krauss as well. I mean, it's just, you can't genreify Missing You.
No, you can't.
You really can't.
That was a great point, and maybe that's like being called the Babies. And having a hard rock background, but being kind of somewhat poetic. That's what makes it different.
And it's been used so much in pop culture too. I mean, 22 Jump Street and Let It Be Me, Everybody Hates Chris, Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. It's just a song for the ages. What does it mean to you all these years later?
Just that. I can't believe I did it. And it was an accident. And it's back to your muse, you know, whoever she is, wherever it was in the back of my mind that night. It was one of those magical things that happens that you can't construct. If you're going to have great sex, you can't really make an appointment. It just happens, you know?
I love it.
Yeah,
Best way to put it. Best way to put it.
But it's true. It just comes out of nowhere.
Looking back on your life, John, both your personal life and your career, what are you most grateful for in this moment?
I lived my life. I put my life before my career. It was important to make the music I wanted, but I wanted to go back into my life. I didn't want it to be a celebrity, stupid, chasing attention, crap, shit life. I love my friends, and the women I loved in my life were very important to me. And once you leave that and go into the stratosphere of celebrity, you look like an idiot, really, and you are. So I'm glad that my parents My mum and dad instilled in me some common sense and gave me a sense of right and wrong. And if you have that, a strong sense of right and wrong, you'll survive because it somehow leads you through it all. And I'm grateful, believe it or not, I'm going to say this to my parents for giving me that. The greatest thing in the world that can happen to you is to be understood. A lot of people go through life feeling shut out, but I've been very, very blessed to say what I thought was important to me and have people like yourself and maybe the people that are watching the show respond and feel in like manner. And that is, you know, that's the richest you could ever be on this planet, is to be understood.
Man, wasn't that amazing? Leave us a comment about John Waite. What are your memories of this classic song? John Waite, one of the greats. What are your memories of 1984 and the songs on the radio at that time? Let us know. If you dig our content, we invite you to subscribe below. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Make sure to do that. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.